Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. I hope you enjoy. Story number 1. Breath on Our Necks, written by I Am the Hype, TFS. We run, and we never look back. We run because we made a fatal mistake. We run because they will see us all dead for it. When we found humanity, we saw them as another race to conquer, another lamb to the slaughter, another jewel to add to our crown. We struck hard and fast, and while the response was quicker and harsher than we anticipated, it wasn't anything that we couldn't manage. We had every advantage, the element of surprise, more advanced technology, and even physical superiority. The war dragged on, however, and those in the upper ranks felt disgruntled that we hadn't crushed this inferior race. So a decision was made to destroy their unity, to make them lose their sense of self and pride. Cultural annihilation. We bombed their museums, razed their sacred sites to the ground, burned ancient ruins painstakingly uncovered over thousands of years beneath hundreds of feet of dirt and rock. We hacked their databases, erased their histories and folklore, and crippled their learning institutes. And that was our greatest mistake. We had studied them and their history before invading. We knew that there was a monstrous rage and cruelty deep within humanity's heart. But from what we saw, that beast had lain dormant for hundreds of years now, and we thought it dead from neglect. We didn't know that it was their history that reminded them not to be cruel. We didn't know that their holy sites kept them honest to themselves. We didn't know that their institutes taught peace because war came so easily to them. In our efforts to weaken their resolve, to break their spirit, we succeeded only in doing the opposite. We had committed an unforgivable sin, and if any had held any measure of sympathy towards us or the hesitation in striking against us, they no longer did. Even if it meant their destruction, they would ensure that they did not fall alone. We didn't merely rattle the cage of the presumed dead beast. We flung open the doors and cut off the chains that bound it. We breathed a new life into its desiccated form and congratulated each other on our victory, even as it grew healthy and strong before our very eyes. We had kindled humanity's hatred. There were those that hated us before, of course, but they hated the soldiers, the war, the politics, and the death it all brought. They hadn't hated us as a whole. They presumed they were those of us like them on the other side who hated the same things they did and who wanted this all to be over, for our races to go their separate ways, lick our wounds, and return to some measure of peace we had once known. But now their hearts were enshrouded in hatred, and their souls were ablaze with rage. Gone were the lessons of the past to show the restraint and mercy. Gone were the holy sites that evoked spiritual purity and serenity. Gone were the ruins and artifacts of civilizations long dead that displayed the ingenuity and beauty of their ancient selves. Now, they hated us, all of us, everything we stood for, because we had taken away everything they had stood for. We had robbed them not just of artifacts and information, but of a fragment of the collective soul. We had stolen their inspiration to improve themselves, to be better than those that had come before. We had taken their peace, and they would now give us their hate. We tried to fight. We even won in the beginning, but they didn't care about losses. They didn't care about living through the war, so long as they won the battle. They pushed themselves above and beyond the limits of their bodies through the use of drugs and self-targeting psychological warfare, exerting strength that crippled them in exchange for killing just one more of us, and relentlessly hounding us for days on end without rest to grind us down. They didn't care if they fell dead on the battlefield from exhaustion if it cost just as much as it did them. And as more of our technology fell into their hands, the worse off we were. They broke down everything they took and studied it over and over until they understood the principles behind it and could make it for themselves. But they went further. They didn't bother installing limiters or safety protocols. Safety and security didn't matter as long as it meant more of us would die. So we became victims of our own power as they combined it with the worst of theirs. Our propulsion systems carried nuclear weapons high into orbit to strike at our vessels. Our life support systems hijacked and used to spread poisons and gases that brought long, agonizing deaths to any who came into contact with them. We had ridiculed the humans of peace because we didn't know to fear the humans of war. We knew it now, but it was too late to ask for mercy, too late to offer surrender. So we did the only thing that we could. We sent them all the data we had copied before erasing, all of their histories and stories we had wiped from their databases. We could do nothing about the sites and ruins we had destroyed. So this would have to be enough. And then we ran. We took to the stars and left that green and blue world behind us, hoping against hope that the recovery of that which had inspired them to peace once before would do so again. But before we could even let out a sigh of relief at our escape, we felt an urge, a primal warning, to look back. And there they were, the humans that constructed vessels based off our designs, our specifications, our technology. They didn't look exactly the same, but the appearance was more than close enough to be disturbing. It felt like we were bearing down on ourselves, as if we were bringing destruction down upon ourselves, because we were. We had no one else to blame but ourselves. We were the cause of this, was the effect. So we ran again, and with humanity hot on our heels. We ran, knowing that we could never go home, because we would invite the annihilation of our world, the same fate we once threatened theirs with. We ran from a tireless monster that we had woken from a long slumber, and knew that even if the histories we had returned eventually lulled it back to sleep, it would not even think to rest before sating its thirst for our blood. We ran, and dare not ask for help for fear of setting this hateful beast loose of the galaxy. We pray that when we do finally stumble and fall, humanity's hatred will end with us. But we keep running because we fear it won't. We run and we never look back because we don't need to, because we can feel it. Their breath on our necks. End of story. Story number 2. Humans get stressed with success. Written by Random 3X. Greeble had just finished having a set of new bioscans installed so he could provide adequate care to the crew of his ship. It was as he went about his duties he noticed one of the humans in his scans had severely heightened levels of stress. Now, this was not something all too unseen, as humans were famous for their medley of emotions affecting their physical state. But this time, it seemed far worse than usual. Approaching one of the closely bonded members of the human pack on board, Greeble hoped to ascertain the reason why.
Human Paul, is there something wrong with human Kevin?
Huh? Oh no, nothing much. Why?
It is. My newest scanner unit is identifying an increase in stress hormones release. I was concerned that human Kevin was suffering some kind of illness.
He's stressed? Paul replied, seemingly surprised.
Yes, he has been showing a massive increase in stress hormones since he started his personal project.
Personal? Oh, you mean the book he's writing? Yeah, I guess he has been a bit stressed.
Why does he not stop writing if performing the action is causing stress?
I don't think it is the writing that's causing him to stress out. Why don't you scan him when he's writing and use that as a comparison? Paul suggested, to which Greeble readily agreed. A few days passed where little happened till he finally got a chance to witness Kevin as he was writing. His scanning unit displayed a reduction in stress hormones and an uptake in the release of neurotransmitters associated with positive feelings within the human race.
How peculiar,
Greeble muttered as he stroked his chin tentacles in thought. How's our board doing? Paul asked.
He is showing a great reduction in stress,
Grebo replied, still confused by this anomaly of a human. I even heard that he's been approved for publication. His work is said to be reasonably popular, Paul explained.
Surely that would cause an even greater reduction in stress hormones. The human Kevin should be celebrating his success.
Maybe it's imposter syndrome, Paul muttered.
Imposter syndrome? Is human Kevin a fake planted to eliminate our entire crew? Security secure all
Grebo, calm down, calm. It's not that. Imposter syndrome is something weird with humans.
So it is a weird human thing?
Grebo asked. Yes. Now, can you lower your sidearm? Paul asked as he gently rested his hand over Grebo's outstretched tentacle.
What is this syndrome?
It happens when someone succeeds. They get stressed out because they don't feel they deserve it. But like they can't help but think, oh, they really like it. Or this is all some kind of fluke. For some reason, a lot of creative types are kind of cursed of a second guess themselves and never feel like their work is actually any good.
That sounds awful. Human Paul, why would your race continue to create if such a troublesome ailment awaited them?
Because of that, Paul replied, gesturing to Kevin, who had a big goofy grin on as he continued to work. They may struggle to accept the finished product, but in the moment they created, they couldn't be happier. There is also the case of their work genuinely disliked, and it is all in their head. The problem we humans have is our brains can know one thing and feel something else entirely.
My head is starting to hurt,
Grebo groaned, realizing that he would need more than a fancy scanner device to understand humans. Don't worry, Grebo. Even we don't understand it, and we have a millennia of living with it already, Paul replied, giving a friendly thumbs up. End of story. I'd quickly like to thank the T5 channel members and patrons. Caspar Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, Lord Azrakal, Dragzoon WRE, Holly Sister, Ambrose Cattell, and Quantum Wednesday. Thank you very much.